Hi there, and welcome to the Curious Collective podcast. Conversations designed for the veteran and first responder community to bring awareness to those holistic practices that help us live our best life. So tap into the wisdom and knowledge of our guests to heal, transform, and live as your true soulful self. Listeners, I have an amazing guest for you today, Chris Payten. I came across Chris on Instagram actually, and I'm like, how have I only just found this guy now? He's amazing. I feel our work is very aligned. I love what he and his beautiful partner are doing in the world. So, Chris, welcome.
Thank
How are you today?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. So, I leave my intro brief of what I say because my first question is always please introduce yourself and what it is you're doing in the world right now.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm Chris Payten. I'm the co-founder of Infinity Training and Coaching. I founded the company with my beautiful partner, Shani, and we certify people in breathwork, to put it really short. So we work with coaches, we work with health professionals, psychologists, counselors, anyone in between, aspiring coaches, aspiring breathwork facilitators, and we help them get educated around breath work. We also certify them, and we go one step further than that, and we actually involve a business element to our program too. So we help these people find clients, build their businesses, and live a life that's full of more meaning and purpose.
Yeah, perfect. And of course, I love that because I breath work is my thing as well. But what I love is how you've packaged it all up to be, and the education piece that you're doing at the start is like really showing people the power of the breath and how it is a medicine and how it is the foundation of absolutely everything we do. So, if you wanted to talk into that a little bit about why you're so passionate about what you're teaching.
Yeah, I think it's stemmed from something that's been there my whole life. Before I was doing this, I was in personal training. I had a personal training business for 10 years. I've always worked with the human body. I've always taken a fascination into health and transformation and just humans in general, like everything in between. So, with breath work, when I came into the space a few years ago, what really fascinated me was the diversity of ways to breathe and how much it could influence our well-being from just everyday stress, and our health, both physically and mentally, all the way to these other styles of breath work that are so potent and transformational in the realms of healing trauma. And I saw both sides of that fence, and I went, it for some people it was too woo woo over here,
Mm.
and it was missing a lot of everyday people that could benefit tremendously from breathing exercises. And so when we fully stepped into the space and decided to start a certification company, we thought, well, how can we bridge the gap between these two worlds where we can teach aspects of functional breathing, breathing for performance and health, and all the way over to this other side where these mystical transformational experiences happen. And by doing so, we just want to translate it to the everyday person, and almost like remove the stigma that's sort of being created around some of these types of breath work. Um, so that's, I guess, the greater mission under all of it right now is to just make this so much more accessible to people and to show them how powerful it really is.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you were first discovering breath for yourself, what did you go to a class or you
Yeah.
were doing something yourself on the internet?
Yeah, I actually came across breathwork when I was probably in the darkest time of my life. At 26, roughly, I had a mental breakdown, which left me very, very depressed, suicidal, in a real hole. And I was trying lots of different things to get better. And, I was going to counselors, psychologists, I was taking antidepressants, I was going to energy healers, I was doing everything you could imagine. And there was this one thing that I hadn't done yet, and a friend actually said, you know what, you should try breath work. And I'm like, what do you mean breath work? Like my awareness of breathing is like breathing in exercise and things like
Mm,
that.
mm,
And anyway, so I went to a workshop actually up on the Sunshine Coast, and they did this particular style of breathing. And within sort of 10 minutes of that session, I was catapulted back to all these painful memories of my childhood, and my body was shaking and discharging energy. And it was quite a profound experience. And I'm a very curious guy. So after it, I just went like, how and why did all of that just happen to me?
yeah.
And how can I understand this more and give this back to the world? I knew pretty quickly it's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing, isn't it? And I love that people just stumble upon it. And because you're a curious person, you were then, oh, I need to know more and exploring it. Whereas I feel some people, and I'd love to talk into this as well, they're not ready for that yet. And sometimes that will happen and they'll be like freaked out by it, contract and not push forward with breath work. Are you able to speak into that?
Yeah, yeah. I think this is a really important point, Kate, because when we're looking at breath work, particularly that style of breath work
Yeah.
where they would become quite flooded and overwhelmed and it's quite an intense experience, there's ways to bring someone up to that level of experience. And putting it quite frankly, not everyone is ready for that.
Yeah.
And there are ways to take people from perhaps encouraging like a gentle breathing exercise to then scaling it up slightly and dipping their toe in a little bit with some mixed breathing patterns and then subjecting them to the full experience. And so, one of the things that we really focus on in our training and with our students is the whole screening and assessment process of,
Yeah.
is this person ready for it right now? What's been going on in the background? Because unfortunately, we're working in a space where it has tremendous power for healing trauma, but also too, if people are not doing it right, they're not trauma informed, then they could be making people worse.
Yeah.
And so it gets a lot harder when you consider doing group workshops and you've got multiple people coming in at multiple time. But we're really passionate about not just delivering that transformational experience, but also giving them a resource, slow breathing practices that they can take home and things that they can balance out these styles of breath work with.
I
So
love that integration piece. Not like, hey, thanks for coming, thanks for your money, goodbye.
that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, off you
yeah,
go.
that is so important to me, and I'm so glad you spoke into that. Is people might have these profound experiences at these sorts of breathwork group events, and then not understand it and not have anyone to turn to or ask or yeah. So how do you combat that? Is there a community, or can they connect back in with their facilitators?
Absolutely. Like our participants, students, everyone that comes across us, they know that the door is always open. Shani and I, we make it very clear that, anything that they need moving on from it, like our inboxes are always open. And we have a very good team around us of allied health too. So, if we ever need to refer them to different places and in different
Yeah.
directions, that we have that around us. And we recognize that, breathwork is very powerful, but sometimes there are things that are out of our scope. And
Mm.
so, how can we work together with other sort of sectors to give the person the best possible result and transformation?
Yeah.
But I honestly believe that if you do your job properly from the start, if you know what you're looking for, if you know how to screen properly, if you know how to ask the right questions, and not only that, if you know how to deliver a very safe and effective breathwork session, then, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, people come out of it better than they walked in. So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
completely agree with that. Have you had people come to your group sessions that have perhaps had bad experiences in the past where they come to give it a second go?
absolutely.
Mm.
All the time. And it's it's both amazing that they've landed back in our world and
Mm.
also sad to hear of how many people, and I mean it when I say like there is a lot. And some of the things that we have heard that facilitators have either said or done or pushed during a breathwork session is quite atrocious, to be honest. And it really makes me question where they learnt from and where they received their education and how much awareness they actually have of how the nervous system works and how trauma affects the body and the mind. Um, but it's a beautiful thing to be able to welcome back people back into the space that may be a bit reluctant and hesitant, and they've been vulnerable enough to go, "Hey, I've tried this before. It wasn't great. I'm going to be honest, but I'm here giving it another go." And then walking
Yeah.
out being like, "That was amazing." So
The best.
yeah,
We've brought you back. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
I love that you spoke into the nervous system there because this is something that I educate around as well. And that's why I love your content so much, is because people in the veteran first responder space, and this is from my perception only, but through many, many, many clients, is they're sort of stuck in the system where they've left, whether it be emergency services or military, and the process has been go into the system. So take the drugs, see the psychologist, which is fine, but that's not the only way, and
yeah.
just do the things, and then they're stuck in this cyclic circle. So what I've been doing is trying to educate around the nervous system, and I know that you do too. So can you speak into, for the listeners, why it is so important to explore yourself and learn more about your nervous system if this is you listening?
Yeah, I think societally we're kind of thrown into the the old age way of like, okay, well, you're not feeling great mentally. Well, then you go to a doctor and then you go to a psychologist and maybe you take anti-anxieties or antidepressants. And that all has its place. It all has its place. But when we're looking at really helping people from the bottom up, then what we really need to make sense of is how the nervous system functions and operates. And, it really sort of changed the way I coached people when I realized that your mind or the human brain is almost like the software. And underneath the nervous system is like the operating system. And if the operating system isn't working at its full capacity, then the software crashes. And so, what we need to do is we need to go, hey, this system takes care of everything else that's going on inside of us. If our nervous system is dysregulated, our mind will be too. If we are in a hyper aroused state, we're going to be anxious, fight or flight. Our brain, our thoughts are going to reflect that state of our nervous system. If we're on the other side and we're feeling what's called hypo aroused, where we're very flat and we're very shut down and dissociated and everything in between, we're also going to have thoughts and feelings that reflect that state of the nervous system. And so, in our trainings, we don't just want our students and our graduates to be breathwork facilitators. We want them to be nervous system coaches as well, and to be able to map and identify different areas of the nervous system so that they can use the right tool at the right time to shift state. And I think that we use a lot of energy trying to work on limiting beliefs and thought patterns and all the cognitive stuff. But if we can change someone's state through the nervous system, we actually change the way that they think. And if we change the way that they think, we change the way that they feel, and then they change the way we behave. And it just is this snowball effect. And so if we can come back to a place of, okay, this is all important doing the work up here, but if we can come to the body first,
Yeah.
if we can work with the nervous system first and then work with the mind second, then we're going to have the best chance at getting the best result.
100%. Yes, preach it. I completely agree with that. And it's really important as well, like for people to understand their window of tolerance as
Yeah.
well. So many people like, oh, I'm so angry, or I'm crying so much, or this is happening, and they're not understanding it because they've just suppressed for years, like
Correct.
a boss, like absolutely to get the job done. But now that they're maybe out of the job or having a break or have been forced to stop for some sort of reason, the body's gone, ah,
Yeah.
and it's starting to release, and they're like, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
So
There's safety. They've had a chance to stop and slow down. And when the mind and the nervous system moves out of a survival state, then we can actually get insight and we can actually have a chance to feel what is going on in the body. But while we're stuck in those opposing states, in the window of tolerance, we talk about the window of tolerance. When we're in either a hyper aroused or a hypo aroused state, we're not connected. We're not connected to our truest self. Um, and this also changed the way that I started looking at relationships and people and addiction and everything in between. People are the states of their nervous system, because if you change their state, they are a different human. It's just that simple. If you piss someone off, or if they get pissed off, then they're a different human to who they are when they're feeling calm and relaxed and grounded. They're a completely different human. Or if they're experiencing shame or guilt or dissociation or a lack of motivation, lethargy, or anything like that, they're a different human to who they are when they're most functional and in the zone. And we can get stuck in these states if we are unaware of it, first and foremost, but then we're not resourced. Like the biggest problem that we have is we actually don't have education or the tools available to be able to help people recognize this stuff and to move through it. And it's almost like it's too simple to be true, because it really is. It's very, very simple.
yeah.
And because it is, people are like, there's got to be more to it.
Mm.
What else is there? There's nothing else. This is what it
I
is.
agree with you. I have at times told people from the military, just take 3 deep breaths, place one hand on your heart, one on your
Yeah.
belly, and just ask yourself, like, what is it that I need right now? And they're like, what?
What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
the
that and
thing.
that seems so far away for them to connect to. But wouldn't it be great, utopian Kate here, love this, is if they just taught this in schools from birth. As a parent, you teach your children, they teach it through the schooling system, if that's where you choose to put your kids, and then onwards.
Yeah.
We would be resourced and we would have this awareness you speak into. It would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And it needs to start there. It needs to start with the younger generation. We got a lot of work to do as a society, as adults, but we can definitely be starting there. And it really sort of blows my mind why now, at this stage of our evolution, that it's not built into just education. Like, I can't think of anything that's more vital to know as a human being.
100%.
Just forget the rest. Like, nothing else matters on top if you feel like shit. Like,
I
you just,
agree.
that's it.
Do you know what's super interesting though that I would like to speak into is this generation, I feel they actually already know this
I do.
and they're showing us, and we're, some of us that aren't aware are blocking it, going, what is this you're saying? What is this you're doing? Like, no, that, and putting it up as like behavioral or something like that. But they're actually showing us how to express and showing us how to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. They're way more tapped in, way more tapped in. I think it's only going to keep going that way. I think evolution is going to continue to go that way. And I'm even looking at my own kids now and their susceptibility to doing breathing exercises with me. From 4 and 6 years old, they're so young, but they come to me and they actually want to do breath holding exercises and breath work in the backyard. And, whilst it's a little bit of fun and games right now, I know that it's serving them so much and it's laying these really amazing foundations for them and their nervous system as they grow. My daughter will come to me
Absolutely.
and go, Dad, I've got the hiccups again. Like, what's the breathwork technique that gets rid of hiccups? And
Oh,
I'll show
yes.
her, you know?
Oh,
So,
that's the best.
yeah, it's awesome.
So I love what you and Shani are doing. Keep shining bright in this world. If there are people that are interested in learning more about what it is that you're out there teaching, or even coming along to one of yours or one of your students' classes, what advice would you have for them if they're sort of peeping in and a bit curious?
Yeah, I would say follow your curiosity. And I would also say explore your rejections as well. Something that I've really learned to do in my recent years is when I'm catching myself rejecting something or avoiding something or telling myself that it's not for me or I don't like it before I've actually tried it, then I get curious about that because I'm curious as to what I'm actually avoiding. And 9 times out of 10, when I explore that rejection, I find out something incredible about myself. I learn something of high value and it adds to my life. And so there is, I guess, and particularly for men, I think there's a lot more of a reservation for coming and doing breath work. Um, but there are people in the world like Shani and I who are backing this up with science. Like even the transformational styles of breathwork, the stuff you see on the internet where people are screaming and crying and everything in the videos, there's science to actually explain how this happens during a breathwork session, what's happening. And so there are people who are very sort of centered and grounded and just everyday people like Shani and I who are, teaching this stuff. And
Yeah.
so I would say come along and you really have nothing to lose by it. You have everything to gain.
I love that. I always learn something from all of the podcasts, and that Explore the Rejections was brilliant and pure gold. Thank you so much.
You're
And there
welcome.
are, like you were saying with yourself and Shannon, and I'm sure a lot of your students now, is we've built the ability to hold the space and we've got you. So don't be afraid. Come along, try it, get curious,
Yeah.
and yeah, just what do you got to lose?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Thank you so, so much for your time. I'm pretty sure I could talk to you all day long, but we'll
Absolutely.
keep it at that for now. And perhaps in the future, we can have both of you back to
Yeah.
talk more into what you've been up to from now on. But thank you so much. Any more parting words for the listeners before we say goodbye?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm grateful to have had the conversation and looking forward to future ones. And if anyone wants to sort of dip their toes into the world of maybe functional breathing, what I can do, Kate, is I can send you over the link to our free functional breathing course. You can put that in the show notes for your listeners, uh,
Absolutely.
as well as our Instagram stuff and our website on where you can find us. And yeah, you can always reach out, have a chat. We're happy to answer any questions. So yeah,
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chris. And I look forward to chatting to you in the future.
thank
Katie
you.
out.